Hi, this is Courtney Joyner, and you are listening to the Movie Raid Show.
It's time for the Movie Raid. Tonight's victim is author, screenwriter, Courtney Joyner. Has done many films such as Puppet Master 3, Toulons Revenge, Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys, amongst many others. Hello.
Hey, I'm right here.
Any books or anything that you're working on, or any other projects that you care to promote at the moment that we haven't checked out yet, or is about to be released, or anything going on yet?
Just this month, I do a lot of commentaries and documentaries for special features on Blu-rays because, you know, we all love the movies, so that's great fun, and I've done over 200 of them. The one that just is coming out for December is John Sturgis' The Hallelujah Trail from Kino, and I did that with the great film historian Mike Schlesinger, and I'm very proud of that. I just did a documentary on the new release of The Bat, starring Vincent Price, for Film Detective, and coming, I have Don Siegel's Death of a Gunfighter, and I'm getting ready to start a documentary actually about Rod Serling's Requiem for a Heavyweight, both the movie and the TV versions. I'm very pleased. I'm a featured player in the new biography of Lawrence Tierney that just came out yesterday by Burt Kearns from University of Kentucky Press. So that was great fun to do, and I knew Larry very, very well. So that's off the top of my head.
Now, doing all these documentaries, does this help your career even more than within getting screenwriter work? Or I know it can be a really fun thing to do, but like if it's financial wise or anything like that?
It doesn't do a damn thing. To be able to contribute to these releases just is something I love to do. Well, every once in a while there's some money, but it really is just hitting your button, being passionate about movies. And I work a great deal with Daniel Griffith of Ballyhoo, and he's terrific. And every time we go into a documentary, one of the great fun things is if we're working on a release that has had a great deal of exposure before, like an American Werewolf in London, for example. Daniel and I sat down and said, okay, they want a new doc, but what can we do? This movie has been reissued a zillion times. It's on all this different media. What do you do? It's different than what's come before. So we did a thing tracing all of Universal's werewolf films going back to 1913. So it was great because the whole doc we all got nominated for Rondo Awards for it and all that type of stuff. So there's real satisfaction there. This is something you do out of your own passion and love for the movies. Jumping out of bed and being able to talk about Boris Karloff or something, much more fun than that.
Now, having worked on writing for television shows, when they're are no longer active, especially like when they end their runs, does your credibility become overlooked over time, or wanting to move on in the future? Does that like almost deteriorate?
No, I've not experienced. I'm fairly well established, certain level, and very thankful for that. But also too, even if these were these B movies, and back in those days when we made them, I'm fortunate that some of the films, the Puppet Master films, or Prison, and don't forget Vincent Price started the very first movie I ever wrote, that they have kind of a little bit of a following or cult status or what have you, and that continues to now. It's amazing to me that the interest that people have had very kindly in the production of those movies that we did that were direct to VHS and all that stuff has really endured. So that's great. And also too, just participating in books, either writing my own or writing chapters or essays. I was in 4 last year, and they were from prominent publishers, and including one that was a profile of Elmore Leonard. So you just kind of keep chugging along. But I'm seen as both a Western individual and also a horror individual, so I get to jump back and forth a little bit. The busyness doesn't ever seem to stop.
Having worked with so many works between lots of different eras, including up to today's modern time, do you feel like the audience, like in terms of how they feel on watching these films from then to now, do you feel there's a much different feel and a much different attitude of how they see them between now?
It's really kind of difficult to assess because my first couple of movies were theatrical, and then doing some television work. But then I got into this cycle of doing films that were being produced exclusively for home media. And that was at the time of Blockbuster Video and Hollywood Video and all of that stuff. And those little films were released with some degree of fanfare at times because they had a following, like Puppet Master or Trancers or any of those fun things. I would say now, I think the fandom is strong, not stronger for horror product and stuff like that. I mean, you love what you love, and the difference is, of course, that the way that this stuff reaches its audience is through streaming. And I think that, unfortunately, streaming, it just doesn't have the oomph, having something where there was a poster and fan clubs and all the rest of that great support you would get from a company like Full Moon. That no longer exists because you don't have to go to a brick and mortar store to get anything. Everything comes directly to your home. So I think that there's a little bit of an edge, if you will, is missing now, which I think is unfortunate because that was part of the fun.
Would you say that there's more of an outlet for these films and genres of today rather than a platform? Would you say there's a big difference in definition in your eyes of that?
Well, as far as the need and where the product goes and everything else, it's like this never-ending furnace. The amount of product that's needed to fill all of the streaming services, etc., and plus, too, there's still home media releases. It's 1,000 times greater, at least it seems to me, than it used to be, because back in those days, it either went to VHS or it went to the movie theater. But now, you sit there, you turn on your television set, and you've got your choice of thousands of things and new things that come along at the bottom of your screen in those little images the size of a postage stamp. But still, it means that there's new product out there, and there's new product on every single platform. So as far as opportunity and getting the movies out, oh gosh, it's increased incredibly, I think.
How would you define devaluing? Is it the company, or is it really the aftermath of that, especially to that artist's work? Does it devalue them, or does it really devalue the work that they've been involved with?
I think really the only devaluing is just in the presentation itself, because now with streaming, people are used to seeing things in their homes, and the way movies arrive in movie theaters anymore, the solid mid-range action film of, say, something like James Woods in Cop or The Long Good Friday, or going back to, say, John Carpenter's Halloween, certainly something like Assault on Precinct 13. Now, there would be a question mark. First of all, those mid-range action films really don't exist, certainly not theatrically at all. And there would be a question mark of where they would be seen as their value for theatrical instead of for streaming product. So I think that's the problem, is that you make a movie and the opportunity for it to play in a movie theater, reaching that audience and kind of with the spectacle, and it's being seen the way you would like it to be seen. Literally now, unless you're Top Gun Maverick or something, those opportunities just are extraordinarily rare.
And you yourself have done a lot of screenwriting, and there's always altercation, all kinds of things going on within whatever project that you're working with. But when there's the final product, I mean, how do you feel when your work is altered, though? But does that kind of devalue you in a way over time, that what was there then that you thought was right, but the company thought was different? This is always common, but how does that actually affect you?
Oh, I don't really have any strong opinion about that, because I think overall I've been extraordinarily lucky. I've only directed 2 movies. I don't ever feel like I've had anything really taken away from me and butchered and substantially altered. Jeff Burr is one of my very best friends, and he had a real time on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. So, but I've never had that experience, primarily because I've only directed 2 movies. As far as the scripts go, so much of the work that I've done has been assignments, and I've been also very lucky there because everyone seemed pretty satisfied with the pages, and they went to the floor and they shot the movie. No matter what you put your effort into or anything else, a movie script, once you accept a check, that script belongs to somebody else, particularly if it's an assignment. So getting your panties in a twist because certain decisions have been made or whatever, hapless battle. It doesn't even make any sense, really, because you are being hired for your sensibility and your creativity and everything else. But you know what? If it features characters you did not create, and it's for a producer who's going to have it on Showtime, and yes, you did a great job writing our thriller or writing our Western or whatever it is. And I guess it sounds like I'm probably being a little blasé, but again, I've been very fortunate in that area. Now, I certainly had some movies that didn't turn out so well, but that's kind of a whole other thing. But as far as some massive battle over edits or leaving scenes out, or I've never had that experience.
Let's say you have several scripts of your own that you could submit to other, let's say, independent artists that are looking for something for them that could help them. Do you think that's more of a big risk to submit that?
Created a piece of material that's your own and you've done it on speculation. Obviously, you're going to be also thinking about where you'd like to take it. I've written a new Western. I want it to go to the people who are in sync with making Westerns. That's really the choices there. You know, you submit or you present your stuff to the people you think are going to appreciate it, no matter what the level is.
Interpretation is always, of course, the biggest key when it comes to film, books, or anything like that. When your work is actually interpreted, do you feel that the artist's original work should be preserved for how it is or presented instead of almost like a reenactment than the original vision?
You know, I've been fortunate enough. Someone really would want to dig. I have scripts, you know, that have been archived at the Academy of Motion Picture and at USC and at the American Film Institute and stuff like that. I don't know anyone really goes searching for me. I've never had a big shock as far as writing something and then seeing it realized and it not being quite the same. There are changes, of course. That's part and parcel of the business. But if someone isn't understanding that as they go in to write a movie, then that's being a little naive, I think. They should have more awareness and certainly not be precious about what you're doing, because scripts, even if you poured your heart and soul into it, a movie script is a blueprint. And I try to make mine, I hope I do, fun to read and what have you, but a movie script is not distinct literature. It is part of a process of getting a movie made. And I think sometimes folks might forget that. Besides, if, they really screwed up my script, that's like a great reason to drink. So there you go. That's why it works.
There's a lot of people that like to play the one-man band. Like, they write the script, they direct it, they do all this stuff. But do you think sometimes that could be also problematic too, because that vision can kind of split up?
Well, that's true. But the thing is, right now, because of all this wonderful technology, you can go out and write and produce and direct your own thing, and it can be filmed with your phone or whatever you want to do, and you cut it on your laptop. That is so wildly different than the way it was when I started, because if you wanted to make a movie, even a short, guess what? You had to hire a full crew. You had to deal with film labs, all of this stuff. Right now, if you have an idea for a movie, you could prep it and be filming it with your friends or with actors that you hire or whatever in like a week. That was not possible in the 1980s. Also, too, Mike, very often when you bring up writing, producing, and directing, unless you're David Lynch or something, that opportunity usually also means that you're not dealing with a great deal of money. And I don't think that's not a downfall of any kind, but it does mean that maybe certain things will be out of your reach, but at the same time, you don't have anyone telling you this is the way it's got to be here or this is the way it's got to be there. All those decisions are your own, which is in itself terrific.
When you yourself are in between, let's say, screenwriting for somebody or even writing your own books, like, how does one stay established or become established within between these two and without using credibility from one or the other to continue to be established?
Yeah, I've been fortunate, like with the books, they have their own following, and I'm well thought of or whatever, sought out for the movie books. Fortunately, even in, again, these old B pictures that I did, each kind of writing project has its own following. And being known as a film historian a little bit, that has its own following as well. And, my gosh, I've got some absolutely astonishing comments from folks who say that they have bought certain releases only because I did the commentary on it, which I thought was pretty amazing. And it's a small world. I mean, I can't say that, well, after my mega hit Universal, I've then been able to move forward from there. No, because I never had that. I've worked for major studios, but none of the work was ever brought to the floor. It was never filmed. Or it came in to do structure work or some ghostwriting or things like that. But no, the publishing has been, in many cases on a larger scale at times. The older films for companies like Full Moon. Now, I would say this. I've been also very lucky there. First of all, Charlie Band is incredibly supportive of me, and I'll always be grateful to it. But also, that was at a time when those companies were kind of deeply financed. So, like the Full Moon stuff that I did, that was all released by Paramount. Early on, when I did Prison with Rennie Harlan, that was an Empire picture that ended up being bought by MGM. So that in itself meant more exposure and what have you. So I was very fortunate there.
Go and plug in any websites or anything that you care to promote, or even add advice to that.
Things like Ballyhoo with Dan Griffith, because we do so much work together. And again, this new book that I participated in about Lawrence Tierney has just got a smash review in Publishers Weekly. If you check out, if you're a Blu-ray person, and if you check out Imprint, if you check out Arrow, if you check out Indicator, that's where you'll find me. In fact, Indicator is reissuing The Big Gundown starring Lee Van Cleef, and I did that originally for Bob Murawski in Grindhouse. So that's happened to me quite a bit. The reissues of these Blu-rays and things still have commentaries on them that I might have done 10 years ago. But Mysterious Island, every single edition of that since I did recording on it with Stephen Smith and Randy Cook, they have used that commentary for every single release. That's been reissued itself 5 times. As far as that goes with the new stuff and the reissues and everything, I average about, I would say, 15 Blu-ray releases a year, including the documentary. And we've got this big documentary coming up about David Allen that's going to be with the incredible job they've done completing his dream project, The Primevals.
And there you have it, everybody. That is C. Courtney Joyner.
Well, thank you, Mike, very much. It was great.